Don't say anything.
We don't want to ruin tradition.
I'm hunting rabbits.
Just barely first.
Should we do like a favorite thing we're looking forward to for 2022?
I feel that's going to jinx it, but yeah, let's do it.
That would jinx it?
I don't know. I don't have good feelings about WorkbenchCon.
Really?
Why is that?
I don't know. I think things are going to get canceled. I don't know. I'm.
Is that based on anything, or is that just a feeling?
Well, it just seems like all the numbers are going up and things are starting to close.
Oh. I wish they'd stop charging my damn credit card without my permission.
Oh yeah.
WorkbenchCon?
Yeah, I've had to cancel 3 charges. They've charged it like 3 different times.
Huh?
What the hell are you doing? The first time I tried buying the ticket, the system was having errors, and I tried doing it 3 different times, and so I had like $1,500 of charges on my credit card.
Oh.
I got those removed, but I used a different credit card to buy my ticket. And then about 2 weeks ago, I get another charge on my old credit card. What the hell are you guys doing? I don't know. So that's not a very good sign for me for WorkbenchCon to start.
I think the problem is I think most of it is all done by, what's her name, Angela? Like that one lady? Like I think she does
third party service though running that stuff.
Yeah. I'm excited.
I'm excited, but I'm apprehensive, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
What would be a good intro for today?
Donovan, you can sing a song.
Hold on. And Wes is down. Wes is down.
Apparently my Amazon Basics tripod is not very sturdy. Who would have thought? Oh, there it goes again.
I just disappearing out of frame.
The tripod needs more than 3 legs. I'm just saying.
Your tripod needs more pod. Okay.
Quad pod.
There's a dirty joke in there, but I wasn't fast enough.
Nope. It's not the first time I heard that.
Not at all.
You can't see the marvelousness of my shirt. There we go.
Donovan's thinking here. It's going to be a while.
You can't pick. It doesn't pick it up in the camera, but the RUN flicker.
I saw it earlier.
Yeah. The lights.
It seemed like it went away once you changed the background.
Oh yeah. Hey, Domicile Artisan, what's going on? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
What's a good riff on favorite things?
So, Wes, how are you doing?
What?
Did you watch the season finale of Hawkeye?
Yes.
And?
Should we talk about it on the air, or have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
I could see where you were coming from, but I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was as bad as you were saying.
I have a perfect.
The show is way more lighthearted than others, so they're trying to. They're skating that campy line at some points. I'm okay with it.
After we watched it, I turned to Ramona and I'm like, "This is how I think this episode is written." And I explained it to her, and she's like, "Yeah, totally." So cringy.
All right, I'm gonna get my fidgety stuff out of the way so I don't mess with it while we're on the air, because I know my camera and the microphone will pick it up really easily. So
it is funny listening to all the ambient noises that we make during any given episode.
Yep. Don, you still trying to figure out how to start it?
Yes. So bright golden triforces and warm something. I got distracted thinking
And
about
warm
Hawkeye
laser cutters.
and warm laser cutters. Bright golden triforces and warm laser cutters. Silver white hairs that are growing in our head.
now it sounds like dancing sugar plums, something. Night Before Christmas riff going in there.
This show runs like butter.
That now grow on our head. That now. Oh, that doesn't. That's not okay. Delete that. I'm stuck. You can just go with the normal thing.
All right. All right, make sure I'm recording on my side.
Should have put more thought into this.
Are you guys set?
I'm set.
What's up, Internet? It is that time once again. It is also that time of year. It is our holiday episode of the Geeks podcast for makers, families, and geeks. Happy holidays, gentlemen.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Quansicle or something. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something geeky, but I can't think of anything. What?
Is there?
I feel like
is
I'm running
there
on
like
empty here.
Is there a geek property that kind of has their own type of holiday celebration? World of Warcraft used to
Festivus.
have one. Festivus, I guess, is the one that usually gets said. Isn't that from
Seinfeld.
or something?
Yeah, I think so.
What was Futurama? What did they call it in Futurama? Was it Christmas or was it something else?
We're gonna lose our geek cards here.
I know. Maybe it was called Christmas. Xmas. No, they just called it Xmas. It's an Xmas Day miracle.
Isn't it funny how like every game property now has a holiday event to get you to keep playing that game, whether it's new skins or like a new map that has snow and holiday lights and stuff. Even Valheim has craftable Christmas trees and presents now.
Oh, really?
Which of course I have, like 2 trees and presents around my property in Valheim
Nice.
now. But I think I'm the only one playing it, so I'm just spending Christmas alone in Valheim.
Oh. And it's terrible because I've gotten back into Minecraft now. So I went from Minecraft over to Valheim. Now I'm back in Minecraft. I can't be like split between 2 worlds. I just got to pick one.
My Minecraft server sign has been down for a couple weeks. I need to fix it because I don't know who's on the server at whatever time. So I missed that notification. I don't realize how much I used it until it's not there.
Mm-hmm. I've had a few adventures with Crehan on the Minecraft server. Yeah, it's been fun. A lot changes every time I get on there. There's like new stuff everywhere.
I don't even remember how to log into the server. I might have to go on just to kind of look around. I don't plan on playing. I just want to kind of go around and sightsee, see what everybody's done. That should be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And we're kind of throwing this out up front. If you want to join us on our Minecraft server, it is a perk of being a patron of this fine podcast that you're listening to. So if you're into Minecraft and you want to help support the show, you can do both, and we can see you on the server or Valheim. We got both. We got Minecraft. We got Valheim. We're all over the place.
And Discord.
Yeah, come and join me. I'm kind of lonely on there.
And Discord. Yeah.
Yep. Our Discord channel's been great. We have a really good community that we've kind of built on there over the last. How long have we had it now? A year, 2 years now? Discord.
I don't know. It feels like maybe 2 years. Yeah, I think we started it around Workbench Con-ish time. Something like that.
With the reinvigoration of the show, I think we started pushing that more too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great time. Welcome everybody on there. So what have you guys been up to this week? Now that we're clearly in holiday season.
Man, making presents and wrapping presents and watching movies, watching TV shows. Not playing as many games as I would like. Playing StarCraft here and there, StarCraft 2, but yeah.
For nostalgia's sake, or because?
So a friend of mine that I've mentioned on the podcast before, Travis, he's my buddy who lives in Wyoming that I've gone out to visit and stay out there with a couple times. He and I have a long history of StarCraft. We started playing StarCraft 1 back when we were in the military together, and it's sort of been our thing that we've continued the tradition. A couple times we've like dropped it over the years, like, you know, transitioning to StarCraft 2 and stuff. But we always seem to go back to it every once in a while, and we usually just do like comp stomps where you just play, him and I just team up against the computer, and they have like co-op missions and stuff you can do. Mm-hmm. It's pretty fun. We pull up Skype and do like a video call on another monitor, so it's like we're sitting across the table from each other. It's pretty fun. If there's anybody else in our group on Discord that likes to play StarCraft and wants to play sometime, let me know.
I think I only played it once. I never got really into StarCraft 2. I played a lot of StarCraft 1, but just never made that jump into the second one.
It's fun.
Because StarCraft 2 came out at the same time World of Warcraft 2 did, didn't it?
World of Warcraft 2?
No, more like after Warcraft 3.
It's been out 10 years now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Warcraft 3 is older.
Not as old as World of Warcraft, right?
No.
Because I was more into World of Warcraft than I ever was StarCraft.
Like WoW?
I just couldn't. No, not.
Well, that's WoW was World of Warcraft.
Okay, but I mean, when people say WoW, they usually mean like World of Warcraft Online, like the MMO. I'm talking about like the standalone.
There's no world then.
No, you're talking about Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
That is what I meant.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Warcraft. I was more into Warcraft than I was StarCraft. I tried. I really did try, but it just wasn't as fun.
Righto. Righto.
All right. Me and my
Don,
brother still do that to each other. It's kind of fun. I have been trying to fumble my way through making hot chocolate bombs. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my recipe from the Hyrule hot chocolate that I made last year, and I 3D printed some shields. I 3D printed the Hylian shield and the Deku shield. And then I made a mold of those, and I made the mold wrong. And so I've been trying to figure out how to like not have to remake the mold and still use the mold that I have. I didn't account for like some kind of funnel to like pour the chocolate into. And so I had to cut it open because the shields are so complex and complicated, and there's that little shaft that goes up the back of the shield that the straw is going to fit into. I did not think this through like I should have. But that said, I have my little mold pieces that are ready for chocolate. So tomorrow morning, we typically have a traditional invite a bunch of friends over to our house and have a big Christmas Eve breakfast. We cook for everybody. It's typically a very fun time. Everybody is canceled. So in place of that, my daughter and I are going to make or attempt to make Hyrule hot chocolate bombs. So that's going to be an experience and a half. And hopefully I will finish it enough to be able to put the video for it out on Christmas. And that will be my last video for the year. We hope. I hope. So that's what I've been up to. What about you, Sean?
Well, I got off of work last Friday, and I feel like I haven't stopped moving since. For a time of year that should be relaxing and kind of enjoyable, it's been almost like crunch time with customer orders at the last minute. And it's I think we finally finished the last one. I told my wife, don't take on any more orders. We are done. I want to be closed for the year. And she got another order. So that's how that kind of goes. I finished making a sign as a commission, and I had to actually fire up my CNC again, which I have not turned that thing on in, I think, almost 3 years. Since I got the K40, I don't think I've had it on. And then here I accept this job where I know I'm going to have to CNC it because the size would not fit in the laser, and just the nature of the sign, you can't. It doesn't quite work. You have to be able to carve deep enough, and you kind of need a CNC for that.
I loved your post on that, by the way. It was so nudge, nudge, hint, hint, wink, wink. I'm really nervous about this, but I would be less nervous if I had a Onefinity. I was like, that is fantastic.
And an hour later, they picked it up and reposted it on their channel.
I know.
I'm like, well, that's great. I'm glad that you guys saw that, but I mean, it's how about we have a conversation, type of thing. But
hey, it's baby steps, baby steps.
I'm still hopeful that I can make that happen in the future, but luckily enough, it worked, and kind of like, there you go. For anybody listening to the audio podcast right now, our pausing has to do with what's happening on the video feed. The automated Skype, whatever that they're using to balance the image, is kind of making Wes grow and shrink in the screen. So it's
for anybody just listening to this, it is such a richer experience watching us be goofheads rather than just listening to us be goofheads.
Yeah, see how professional we are.
Yeah, we know what we're doing.
So it was a big gamble taking on the job, not having the CNC turned on in about 3 years, and hoping everything worked correctly. And when I fired everything up, I got really nervous because I was moving it around. I was jogging the router around, and then I started moving it up and down. And on the Z, I hear this. I couldn't figure out what it was. I was checking the belt. The belt looked okay. There's no bend in the threaded rod. And I don't know what it was. I think the belt might have been rubbing on the flange that's above it a little bit. And I kind of helped it along, and it kind of went away. But it made me nervous for a couple of minutes, but it pretty much worked. I also realized I was out of practice with how to actually set up those cuts, and that how different of a process it is than using the laser. Even though you have these two different automated processes that are controlling some sort of carriage that goes and affects a piece of wood, it's a different thought process in how you do that. And the siding turned out okay. I was kind of disappointed with a couple of things that happened. I had to run things a couple different times, but I think I learned a lot more in that last job that I ran than what I previously knew about running the CNC, which is really weird. Like, after all this time and out of all the work I've already done on it, that I think I learned something better with the process. So I'm actually going to try to leave the CNC kind of clear, because it's been kind of like a catch-all space for storage, and see if I can maybe do some more work with it. I also need to use a different program for running the jobs. I think I want to try to use, I think it's called Aspire, which is a better program for doing some of the CNC jobs, especially for using like V-bits and stuff. I do have to say that I still do not like easel, which is Inventable's proprietary, what do you call it? Their I don't know, their control
mapping
program.
Software.
Sure.
Yeah.
But they have made improvements. They made some much needed improvements in terms of the recommendation and the processing. So at least it's a step in the right direction. But the pro version is still really expensive. In fact, I think it even went up in price.
Have you tried Carbide Create at all?
No, I have not.
I would look into that. I've tried both Aspire and Carbide. I ended up settling on Carbide because I like the experience of using Carbide better than Aspire. But I mean, it's each their own, obviously. But yeah, definitely try out Carbide. Carbide
as long as our post process will work with the X-Carve. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
I'm up for it. Yeah, there's a couple of key things that I need the software to be able to do that easel just does not. I mean, I guess you could probably find a way to make it happen, but I don't know. I'm going to look for some other options and still get more out of the machine, because I probably should be using it a lot more than what I do. You know, there's probably a lot of jobs that I do that probably would be better with CNC and even faster, but I think we default to the laser just because we've already established such a consistent workflow with it. But yeah. So dog ornaments, signs, and what else have we been doing? A lot of cutting boards for the holidays. So we've done probably at least 20, 30 jobs last month.
Dang.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So that's what I've been up to.
So now that we've reached the end of the year, I kind of wanted to do a retrospective on the year 2021, which we kind of have to. I guess we've gotten at that age. We have to talk about it first to remember what exactly happened over the last year, and talk about what our favorite things were of 2021. Favorite maker stuffs, favorite dad stuffs, favorite geek stuffs, all that kind of stuffs. But let's talk about 2021 first. January 2021. Where were we?
I was still in Wyoming.
Yeah.
For another 2 weeks.
You were there for like 5 weeks? You were there for a while.
3 months.
3 months. That was longer than 5 weeks.
Mid-October to mid-January.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I drove back. Yeah, we were missing that. We had a good time out there. Some things we don't miss, like the lack of civilization and quick Amazon deliveries. We're so spoiled here in North Carolina. Like, if I order something, I can likely get it the next day. Not for everything, but the popular items. Out there, you're like 4 days minimum. It was crazy.
Because the Earl's the one that brings it down the long, winding road.
That's right.
There's something collectively that we should probably comment on too. And if my notes are correct, January is when we rebooted the show.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we've been at our new, semi-new format, but reinvigoration of the show is typically what we called it, behind the scenes, for about a year now. And I think we've had some pretty good momentum this year and kind of given the show some new life. And I think that is something huge for this year, because we weren't even sure what the fate of the show was going to be a year ago. We were still kind of playing around with some different concepts and ideas, and we've done quite a few of those this year. I think we've kind of held to our plan for once.
Yeah. Yeah.
And did quite a few of those things. So I think that's been really good collectively as a group.
Yeah, definitely continue that into the next year, I think.
Yep.
Lean a little harder into it, I think, for sure.
Yeah, because it was this time, I guess it was this time in 2020 where we had our big
200th
episode, 200th episode with like 30 people on, and Sean was like, and that comes, and we've reached the end of the Making Geeks podcast as we know it. And I just remember seeing all the eyebrows go,
Yeah, so something we didn't say about that time that I guess we could talk about a little bit now is there was actually some initial talk of Wes and I possibly leaving the show, and then Donovan taking it possibly like a new direction and creating a new show with the same name though. And that was something we had considered and talked about for a short period of time before we decided that we were going to try just changing it up and try to get us a little bit more excited about doing the show every week. Because after over 200 episodes, things start slowing up a little bit, and getting harder. It's hard to come up with ideas. So
it is, yeah.
So that's kind of how the year started, for at least, like I said, collectively for the three of us.
Yep.
Yeah. One big thing that happened for me for 2021 was starting the year from January up until April. I was really considering going full time at being a content creator, YouTuber, online, personality, whatever you want to call it. And my channel at that time was doing really well. like very, very well. I'm jealous of myself at how well my channel was doing a year ago today. And so there was a real talk and real opportunity that ended up kind of getting kicked into high gear when I got ripped from my job in May, and ever since then I've been doing content creation full time. I wish I could say it's better right now than it was a year ago. It's not, but with the new projects that I got coming out for next year, I'm really excited about the momentum of building up my channel again. At least getting my stats to where I'm not losing subscribers on a daily basis, but gaining some. That would be fantastic. If I can get above 0, I will be good. So that was a big thing for me for 2021.
How about you at the start of the year, Sean? What can you recollect?
So the start of 2021 was, you know, the year me of the year, other than the number, didn't really present a whole lot of change, because last January I was still doing distance learning as far as teaching. My kids were still at distance learning for school, which seems longer ago at this point, but it really wasn't. It was 12 months ago. And things were tough. They were mentally tough. You know, although, you know, we were all okay here as a family, just the pressure of not knowing what was going to happen next and just trying to keep, you know, spirits up and stuff. But, you know, as we're talking, I started looking back at my photos, since that's pretty much the best journal that I have of the actual year.
Right. Visual journaling.
Here's what's kind of embarrassing is I just realized something about a month ago, that my phone automatically organizes by date. So I can go back, and it's kind of embarrassing that, you know, I just now realized that I could go back to the actual year and look at the month. Oh, that's what I did that month. And something that my wife and I had decided to do to try to keep everybody somewhat sane and somewhat active is we started doing a lot of hiking. We started exploring a lot of our area within, like, say, like a 30-40 mile radius. And we went on, I don't know how many different hikes, but we explored a lot of different areas that we haven't in the, you know, the over 10 years that we've lived here. Even going up to the mountains, which really is, you know, maybe 5 miles away, that we'd never done before. So despite everything else that was going on that we could complain about that was, you know, so-called wrong, we decided to try to do something different as a family. And actually it was a huge, you know, positive thing that came out of it. So that's how our year was going at that time.
And then coming out of like spring into the summer, discussions started coming for having sort of a little meetup out of my place here. So,
yeah, that was amazing. That we had our, I guess if we want to put a name to it, it would be WestCon 2021, getting a whole bunch of people, more so than any of us thought, would be together at one place one time, because Workbench Con this year had been canceled. And so the major event that we had all been looking forward to meeting up together, to being together, wasn't going to be there anymore. And so Wes is like, hey, just come out here. And originally I thought it was just going to be me, Wes, and Sean, the three of us hanging out. But no, Wes being Wes was like, hey, behind the scenes, I've been inviting a bunch of people. So it ended up being quite the event with you, me, and Sean and Josh.
Yep.
When Geeks Crafts, George and Emily. Like there was a bunch of people there, and it was life changing. It was fantastic.
It really was.
I'm glad you guys had a great time. It was, people still mention it from time to time as well. Like I was talking to Other Dog Design today. Yeah. How we should do something again once things clear up again. So we should definitely keep that rolling for sure. It was great to have everybody out here, and kind of, I always like showing people around that have never been to this area before, and sort of the weather actually was not too bad when you guys came out. It was pretty pleasant for the time of year, surprisingly. And Sean had a lot of fun in the backyard just looking at trees.
I love trees.
Donovan had more meat consumed within that week or so than probably the last couple years.
I'm still bitter about you.
His gut bacteria thanks me. Yeah.
Showing Raleigh off to me. Still mad about that.
I think a lot of people are.
Yeah, we need to do it again because
definitely.
I walked away from that experience a better person because of it, and I would love to have WestCon 2022.
There we go. Always invited. And then let's see. I went out to Wyoming in July. Right after that, I believe, for a family vacation. You guys go any trips this year to speak of that are abnormal? I know you have your annual Vegas thing, Sean, and some other stuff.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was mainly just the traveling around in our immediate area and then going to Vegas.
mm-hmm.
We've had plans to travel for the last couple of years, but it seems like something always comes up to kind of prevent it. We've been wanting to go to Zion National Park in Utah, and we've wanted to do Route 66, across the country, and all that stuff. It just keeps getting put on hold for various reasons. But we'll get to it someday. But I did make the trip out to North Carolina, and I'm going to call that one my trip for the year.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but that's pretty much as far as travel goes. We didn't get too adventurous as far as that. We're going too far away.
Hopefully 2022 will be better in that regards.
Yeah,
that's what we're hoping.
Yes.
Before we started recording, Wes was mentioning some cautious optimism over a Workbench Con that's coming up in 2 months, and whether or not it's actually going to happen. But I'm still hoping.
I hope it will. I just think
to see everybody there.
Yeah. Hopefully the effects of people gathering for Christmas and New Year's will die down a little bit by then.
Yeah.
So when we were planning for the show, we were talking about how to talk about this in different categories. So I guess what we just talked about would kind of be like experiences, especially in terms of travel and stuff like that. But we have a couple different categories to go through when talking about favorite things from the last year. So which category do you gentlemen want to tackle next? Because we have about 6 or 7 that we wrote down.
Well, one of our viewers from the live stream did mention just now the 30-day challenge, which we should at least somewhat acknowledge. Even
acknowledge it.
Even though it didn't have a positive outlook on my channel, I thought it was still a lot of fun to do something with you guys.
So
I
we'll
enjoyed
do
it.
this in the maker category.
Yeah, we'll do maker.
And everything else. Okay.
Yep. We'll start off with that. I probably produce more videos. Huh?
That was not my favorite thing in 2021.
Well, let's talk about what if anybody is
new,
didn't hear about it or doesn't know what that is.
Yeah.
We had this idea in the beginning of the year because we were all looking at ways to reinvigorate our channel and try to figure out how to kind of get some views or view numbers up because things had really been dwindling, across YouTube altogether. But I think we felt it really hard in the beginning of the year. So we came up with this idea collectively of doing 30 videos in 30 days, which is completely bonkers. But Wes and I remember a maker, David Welder, who had done this at one time with Jocko whatever, and it had a huge positive impact on their channel because you get constant content or new content every day. And with that type of visibility, especially at that time, it helped them a lot in their channel. So we thought maybe it would have a similar effect for us right now. And so we came up with the idea of collectively trying to do 30 and 30.
Mm-hmm. Did not work out the way we expected, anticipated, hoped, or anything. But that said, I
disagree.
am with you in that, I like what I took away from it personally. I don't like what my channel took away from it, but I do like what I took away from it.
I mean, if you follow the trend line of how it was already going before he started that, it didn't seem to do any more damage, really. I mean, really. I mean, and also I think you discovered like some really cool style with your videos that I think hadn't been there before. And I hope you continue like at least a little bit of that influence going forward. Because I mean, I think cinematically your stuff really improved a lot.
There's some storytelling stuff that you did that I think was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, I am happy of what I took away from it.
My favorite thumbnail is still the one you kind of like, I guess, sitting up, like this manic look in your face, like you hadn't slept for 14 hours, or not 14 hours, 48 hours.
Yeah,
I forget the subject of the video,
my
but
inspiration.
the thumbnail.
Yeah, I have an idea. Yeah, it was. I do like the tone that came out of that. It was really fantastic to be able to because it wasn't just me working together. I know I'm the only one that put out 30 videos in 30 days, but we collectively tried to do this together. So I knew that even though I was here by myself, filming by myself, all that kind of stuff, it was something that I was doing with both of you guys, which was really fun.
Yeah.
And your audience had a good response, I thought, too. They were always looking forward to the next one, and I was always looking forward to the next one. Even though I didn't come out with one every day, I was like, oh, what's Donovan going to do? Yeah, and I thought I told a couple good ones on my own. I got a lot of video projects off my plate that have been on there for years that I either weren't important enough at the time or always got shoved away just because they weren't fully fleshed out. And I'm glad I got a lot of them done. Honestly, I felt pretty good. I want to tap into that energy a little bit, maybe going into the next year for my channel, because it's not where I want it to be, but I'm coming to the realization that I can't keep jumping for those, trying to reach those hoops to jump through. I should just be content with what I'm making, and as long as I'm still enjoying it, and my kids are enjoying it, and people that are I got to reevaluate who I'm making them for, basically. Or am I making them for people that have never seen my stuff, or am I making it for people that have, that already enjoy it? So it's good enough for me.
Are we going to try to up the game to a 60 and 60?
Yeah. 365 and 365. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Did Casey Neistat style.
Yeah.
We should figure out some kind of video to do for Workbench Con. Something. And it doesn't even have to be grand or complex or anything like that. Just simple, fun. Hey, we were all together. Here's proof. And make a video of it. That would be fun. I don't want to do that. I'm just saying it's a good idea. I don't want to be the one. I don't want to be the one to do. I'm going to be taking care of an ARG and all kinds of stuff at Workbench Con, so I'm going to be busy. But if anybody else wants to take up the mantle, there's a free idea for you.
I don't think the con videos ever really do that well.
No. I mean, honestly, all they are is just advertising for the next Workbench Con. Free advertising for them for the next Workbench Con.
Yeah.
But it is fun that I get to do Once Upon a Workbench Con.
Yes.
I do have that moniker of my name that fits so appropriately with that event. So it's hard to pass up that opportunity. So, I did want to ask, since we are talking about the 30 videos in 30 days, what was your guys' favorite video that you did last year? Not last year. I'm talking about, it's still 2020. And what's your favorite video that you've done this year so far?
I'm having to look at my list. That's how old I feel right now. That's horrible.
So I looked. I've done 48 videos, which honestly, a bulk of them were the 30 and 30, and so that helped a lot in terms of my numbers. But my personal favorite build of the year is got to be the doghouse. Coming off of building the playhouse, the Zelda playhouse in my backyard, and then building a Legend of Zelda inspired doghouse, it was so much fun to recreate that same process that I went through of building the playhouse, but just doing it for a puppy. And it turned out really, I'm so proud of that little doghouse, even though it is like buried in grass right now, I need to go out with, with the shield, not with the shield, with the sword, and try and find some gems in it. But I'm still so proud of that little doghouse. I thought it was fantastic. That was definitely my favorite build of 2021. Unless tomorrow morning goes fantastic and the hot chocolate bombs end up being super great, then that'll be my favorite build of 2021. But beyond that, my Link's Awakening inspired doghouse is definitely my favorite build of 2021.
Let's see. It's hard for me because I didn't really have a lot of like really large builds like that. I like the simplicity of my water activated sidewalk art stuff. I thought that was kind of fun. And then my augmented reality live stream I thought was interesting, but those didn't get the traction I had hoped, as most of these. I don't know. I kind of like different ones that I did for different reasons, like the 1980s robot kind of nostalgia trip about my grandfather and stuff and his impact on making. I thought that's probably one of my favorite ones, I would say.
Yeah,
because I've been wanting
to.
Thanks. I've been wanting to tell that for a while, and I thought I did a pretty decent job. I'm pretty happy with it. So, yeah.
I'm looking back at the videos that I did this year, and I realized I haven't really been building a whole lot in the traditional sense. I've been kind of like modeling processes. I think the only thing that I built last year in terms of the video was the little squirrel picnic table.
Yeah.
Which, I've said on the show for years that, my videos and stuff, I like to think more of as like entertainment, or at least that's my goal with it. But in terms of, I guess, the video that I like the best, I think it might be the one where I model the process of how to engrave on the ceramic tile, just because it was something different. And it was kind of a form of teaching in the same way, which it seems like my channel is almost going that direction anyways. I don't know if I'll continue that way, but I really like that video. Yeah, hopefully I'll have a little bit more to pull from for this year. Hopefully I'll finally get to some of those projects I've been talking about for a couple of years now.
Speaking of projects, both of you have become Glowforge owners this year, correct?
Yeah, I was going to talk about that in terms of tools for favorite things.
Yes. So is it your favorite tool for 2021?
For me, it is. Even despite my frustrations with it. But it's my favorite tool for a reason that may not be like apparent to most people, is that it allowed my wife to take a little bit more of an active role in what we create.
Yeah.
And we've slowly been changing to be creating more product than just content, at least content in the traditional sense on YouTube. And I know that my wife kind of needed that format in a way to be able to create. I mean, she could have eventually learned the K40. It just was not very appealing or inviting to her. The Glowforge is, despite the shortcomings and other issues. She has it on and she's doing something with it every day, and she's doing exactly what we had planned to do when we decided that we were actually going to buy it. And she's always dealt really well with the marketing side of things and making working with customers, getting the orders and that stuff. So it's worked out that way. So that's why it's my favorite tool. It closed that gap for her and kind of like narrow the band of difficulty in order to create. So for that reason alone, it's my favorite tool for the year.
Yeah, I would have to. Go ahead.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Well, I was going to ask, like, have you used your K40 since you started using the Glowforge, or is it?
I have, but
Yeah.
only to turn it on and make sure that it still works. But I mean, there's things that I need to do with the K40 that I can't do with the Glowforge, mainly because like the clearance area just is not very big in the Glowforge. So I've engraved like the big like yard Jenga blocks. I've personalized those. I've engraved those. I've still done tiles in there sometimes because it processes that process is different, and sometimes I can get a better result out of it. So I like that I have it. Just it does not get used as much anymore, but it's still there.
Yeah, for myself, I would echo a couple of those sentiments, especially with getting my wife in working on projects with me. She had never really been interested in that before, and it's definitely lowered the barrier of entry for her because she can like kind of fiddle with the program on her computer and then have it spit it out over here, and it's pretty easy to just put the thing in and push the button, and if it's a lot more user friendly. But as far as like new tools, I don't really get many new tools as it is. Like, so I think that's the only new one I bought this year. I definitely used my resin printer more this year than any other year. I did a lot of figurines for when Geeks Craft for a video that she's going to come out with. Probably, hopefully on Christmas, I think is what she's hoping for. Cool. Maybe somewhere around there. It should be pretty cool. So you should see a lot of output from my printer. And
has she posted about that? Because I don't remember seeing anything about.
She's been pretty secretive about it, so I don't know if she has or not. It should be worth the wait. Like, I've seen the thing in person. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah. It's actually, well, when this comes out, it'll be Christmas. I don't know if I should say anything. I'm not going to say anything. Just head over to Wing Geeks Craft if you're listening to this, and tell them the Making Geeks podcast sent you in a comment, and just enjoy. It should be pretty fun. Let's see. How about you, Donovan? Any new toys this year?
Your
CNC.
Yeah, the CNC.
Yeah,
that thing has been a beast. So one of the things that I did this year that I've never done in the past is I held my own like little workshop, 2-day workshop with 12 to 16-year-old boys who made ornaments and door signs, and it was awesome. It was a scouting project that they got to come to the shop. They got to learn about creating vectors and lasers and the CNC machine, and it was fantastic. I would love to do workshops more, but my garage is very limited. So finding places to have those experiences more would be fantastic, as long as I could take my CNC with me, because that thing is a beast. It went nonstop for days and didn't even have a hiccup, which was fantastic. I am so not to say anything bad against your X-Carve, but man, Onefinity CNCs are just
badmouth it all you want.
Oh my gosh, they're so nice. I love it when something works. So much of my experience as a maker has been dealing with stuff that doesn't work. And that is one machine that, like, from the second that I put it together, plugged it in and turned it on, it is just worked. I haven't even busted a bit. And
wow, that's pretty good.
I did break a bit before I put it in the machine. That's a totally separate thing. But while it's been in the machine, I haven't even broken a bit. It's been fantastic. And Two Moose Designs, to their credit, have been incredibly helpful in helping to teach me about feeds and speeds and all that kind of stuff to just make the experience of using a CNC just almost seamless. Not seamless, but almost seamless.
That's great.
Yeah.
What about pop culture and media? Let's say this year we had the new Disney Plus MCU content. Had WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, What If, and Loki. Now Hawkeye. I think those have been my replacement for like pretty much all other shows. I still watch Star Trek because I am a glutton for punishment and I'm a masochist, I guess. I don't know. It's not as bad as some other times, but I get more frustrated with that show than I should. That's
more frustrated than Star Wars?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Star Trek Discovery.
If it hadn't been for my favorite series of 2021, Lower Decks would definitely be my favorite series of 2021. It's not, but it would have been. It almost was.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, because that show is it's so funny. Oh my god.
That's the animated one, right?
Yes.
Highly recommended.
Mm-hmm.
Not for kids though.
Mm.
For media, it's kind of tough because it seems like we're so inundated with Marvel that's kind of like the primary thing on my mind. So
Yeah.
I guess the advent of the new Disney Plus / Marvel series I think have been great. Not that I'm not saying that every one of the series are good. I just like the fact that we have this content to go from.
Yeah.
And it starts to kind of reinforce that the movie experience, or just like a single movie, is not always the best storytelling platform. And the episodic content in this way, with fewer restrictions, can sometimes be better. I mean, you still have to have good writing. You still have to have all these things in place. But I think I've enjoyed almost like this serialized thing to look forward to every week.
Yeah.
One, because it's a service I'm already paying for, and the movies are expensive. But that being said, I think there's been some really good cinematic experiences this year too. I think I went to the movie theater first time again back in July. I think I've seen 7 or 8 movies in the theater at this point. Seeing Peter Rabbit 2, which I thought was pretty good. Shang-Chi was another good, media experience. Black Widow was okay. We won't talk about Eternals. We can skip over that one. But then we had Ghostbusters. So I think that, there's been some really, really good geek-related properties.
Yep. And finally, Spider-Man.
Yeah, and finally Spider-Man. Even though it seems like we're kind of kicking up and retreading a lot of the same ground, I think that just like the rest of society, we're trying to refine our way in all these different things once again, hopefully going into the future.
So breaking them up a little bit, like what was your favorite movie and what was your favorite series of 2021?
It's either Ghostbusters for movie or Spider-Man No Way Home. That's really hard for me.
It was really that good?
I greatly enjoyed it.
I don't agree with Wes on Spider-Man, but I really like Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I would have to say Ghostbusters is probably my favorite movie of 2021. Dune probably would have been my favorite movie of 2021 had it been all of Dune.
Yes, thank you.
Instead of part 1. But yeah, Ghostbusters was just an awesome experience. Definitely my favorite of 2021.
Yeah. I think I've missed having a cinematic experience that doesn't have 20 years of baggage attached to it. I mean, there's a little bit of baggage attached to Ghostbusters, but not, 20 other movies that I've had to keep up with in order to say, try to connect the dots, collectively. I'm hoping that there's more of that type of thing in the next, this next year. A little bit.
What about your favorite series?
I would have to look back to look at everything I've watched, because my favorite series probably is not one of the Marvel ones. I mean, I could pick one of the Marvel ones as my favorite Marvel series, but there's a lot of content that I watch a lot with my wife, like each evening, and I think that there's certain series that I like.
It can be the Great British Bake Off. There's no shame in that. It doesn't have to be Marvel.
I've actually never seen that show.
Okay.
my daughter watches all the baking shows, and then she kind of keeps me updated that way. I don't typically sit and watch them. You know what my favorite series might have been is Behind the Attraction. It's on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I was just watching one of the episodes this morning, and I don't know. I love learning about how things are made and behind the scenes and stuff, and I think I enjoy that more than other things a lot of times, more than the finished project that it's supposed to be creating. The process.
What about you, Wes?
Well, that's hard. I enjoyed all the Marvel stuff, way more than I thought I would. There were several of the titles that I didn't have as much interest in. The What If, I could have, before it came out, I was like, I don't know, I'll give it a shot. I really enjoyed that. Like the animation, I thought was fantastic, and like cinematically, like the shot, like if you can call it choreography with animation, I guess. I thought it was embarrassing how good it was compared to MCU movies. Like all MCU movies should look at that as a guide. Like it was super dynamic, and I don't watch as much animation as I used to, but it kind of blew my mind for some of that stuff. Like it was really well done, I thought. And the behind the scenes stuff of how they made some of those episodes on Disney Plus. I think it's called like Behind the Magic or something. I can't remember, but it's very good. But Hawkeye, I mean, just because Hawkeye is the most fresh in my mind, I enjoyed some of the dad stuff in Hawkeye and the veteran kind of stuff that was presented in that show. I thought they did a good job, like kind of embracing his humanity instead of kind of making fun of it. Like, I think I've said this before, like most people, when you mention Hawkeye or Black Widow, they're like, oh, what good are humans when you're fighting aliens and monsters and killer robots and stuff? When you have all these superpowered individuals, alongside them, what are they really contributing, right? What are they really doing? And they took that sort of humanity and like leaned into it harder than I expected. And they sort of, I don't know, they did some unexpected things with relationships with his kids and stuff. I think they could have maybe leaned into that more than just maybe the one episode or so, but yeah, I enjoyed that one. So it's either between and Loki. God, I forgot about Loki. I don't know. How can I choose? How can I choose? I would say as far as the final episode in Loki left me wanting more than any of the other ones so far. Like with Kang was fantastic. Like if that's just a sampling of what I have to look forward to for him as being a big bad in the next couple movies or whatever, then and the whole introduction of the multiverse stuff, I thought they did really well with all the variants and led to a lot of cool jokes. Like with my dog's name is Loki. He's a husky. For those that don't follow me on every platform I post him on, but now I can say he's actually like a Loki variant, and it fits within the canon of the show, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Have you done any series? You mentioned Ghostbusters for a movie, but any series that you?
Well, like I said, Lower Decks was
okay.
Fantastic, but Arcane, hands down, was. I can't even. I'm still geeking out about it really hard. There's been some behind the scenes videos that have come out over the production of Arcane, and especially the music. The music producer for Arcane put out a really lengthy and amazing video about putting together the music and like the process of trying to write music for the last episode of the series. And it was just every time I watch either snippets or episodes of that show, I'm just blown away at the animation and the visual storytelling, the character development. It's going to be hard going forward watching other stuff to compete with what they were able to pull off in Arcane.
So let me ask you a question. I didn't really investigate it before, and it says it's like League of Legends related. Mm-hmm. Do I have to like care or give a shit about that game?
No. Okay. And it's great. Like you were talking about, you don't have to have 20-year baggage of of like fermented property in order to understand the show. Like you don't have to have even played the game. I've played the game, so I understood some of the he did the thing or she did the or whatever. But like you don't need to know anything at all. Right. That's how good the world building is. It's not reliant on pre-existing knowledge like so much of cinema is nowadays.
Yeah, because I know nothing about the characters. I mean, even though I'm a so-called coach for the game, no, I know nothing. And,
yeah, you are.
but it was genius on their part to not make that knowledge a prerequisite to watch the show. I mean, people that are into the property will probably find all these different Easter eggs and really cool stuff. But I think and I've only seen the first episode. I think for anybody that knows nothing about the property can go into it kind of blind and just enjoy it for what it is. And that kind of sounds like what Donovan's been saying.
It could be its own topic of conversation, but adult animation has had this resurgence, I feel like, more specifically in the last year, but maybe in the last like year and a half, 2 years, that the amount and quality of content of adult animation has just like shot through the roof. It's not Adult Swim anymore. It's like there's serious contenders for the best stuff I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, there has to be a kind of a clear distinction that because most adult animation is crudely drawn and is kind of like crass in terms of humor and graphic content, where Arcane it's adult, but it's like mature. It's fully fleshed out.
You have to like
I
distinguish
mean,
between,
there's another series on Netflix, which is Castlevania, which is also very good, but that one is hyper violent. That one's hyper violent though, but still really, really good.
Yeah. What about your favorite games of 2021? If we're going on the pop culture geek trend.
I have two because it's the only two games I've played consistently for the last 6 months to a year, and that would be Valheim. I kind of like the fact that it is Minecraft with a Viking skin, and I feel just more at home in that environment. And also Microsoft Flight Simulator, which also relates to an experience I had earlier this year with doing an official flight simulator and kind of setting me on that path. So kind of a couple bunch into one there.
Yeah, I would echo the Valheim sentiment since we had the server that we all played on. I hadn't had an experience like that in a long time where we just going on an adventure and like really feel like you're exploring things and like helping each other out. And
you guys build so damn fast, and a community pops up overnight, and then you guys are done with it. Like, where do you guys go?
That's fair. That's fair. And then like that was a surprise hit I wasn't expecting. No one was expecting that, and definitely they earned the money that they made. The other one for me would be Metroid Dread. While I haven't finished it yet, I had a lot of fun on it so far, and I have a really bad habit of playing a game like 3/4 of the way through and then dropping it for some reason, just because I feel like I'm neglecting the rest of my life and I feel guilty playing it, honestly. And then I get into this like thing like, well, I feel like I'm never going to be as skilled as I was when I put the game down. Is it worth the like trudging and the pain it's going to feel like getting to that point again skill-wise to resume? Like Batman Arkham Knight, that game is like really old now, but like I dropped that one after I was like halfway done with it, and that game is like so muscle memory with like the fighting and everything. It's such a struggle for me to get back into that mindset of being able to know the button combinations and getting like the twitchiness down, and it's such a time sink to get to the point where I can play it again that it's intimidating. Honestly, I don't think I can allow myself enough time, but I need to make the time. I don't play enough games compared to what I used to. No, it sounds silly, but like before I worked at Epic, I played games a lot, and since that point, I don't find as much enjoyment in it, and also I feel guilty in spending the time where I could be better used in like making my channel better, which obviously is maybe not the fruit of the labor that I was hoping, but I don't know. It's a balance that I'm still working on here, like 5 years later, with geeksmithing.
I get that. That and wife and kids.
And life and kids. Yeah.
And life, yeah.
Yeah, I've actually felt that a lot, especially getting older. Is this how I want to be spending the time that I have right now? I mean, I love getting lost in a digital world. I really, really enjoy it. But I'm living in a real one that I have to participate in.
Yes.
Yep.
And now the metaverse is coming, apparently. So even more digital world.
That's not for our generation.
Ready Player None.
Yeah. I'm late to the game on the PS4, but my son and I got a PS4 and got Spider-Man, and that game is just incredible. It's like what every Spider-Man game I wished would have been like. It is. They did everything right in that game, and it is just fantastic. And me and my son have loved playing that game. I get to watch him play Spider-Man, and then when it gets too hard or you have to do the sneaky parts because he's not very good at being sneaky, he's like, he hands the controller over to me. It's like, do the sneaky parts, and I'll do the sneaky parts, and then hand the controller back to him so he can do the punching and kicking parts. But it's so fun. It would be that's probably my second favorite game of 2021. But there is a game that came out on Xbox Live. It's free. It's called Two Crowns. And I don't know why I downloaded it. It looked intriguing. It's like a pixelated side-scrolling game. It's not like a Castlevania game. It's a world-building game. But I started playing that, and I've just gotten hooked. And I don't understand why I am enjoying this game so much. But it's you play as a king or a queen, and you try to like grow a commerce and farm and build defenses against greed, which are these little purple monsters that come and steal your gold and stuff and your resources and stuff. It seems so simplistic, and it really is in terms of like gameplay. There's no instructions. It's kind of like Legend of Zelda. You just start playing the game and you figure it out as you go. And there's something to be said about that process of like not having to go through the tutorial, that it's like press A to duck. Okay, now A, not like all this other kind of stuff that we're so used to with games where you just get dropped into a game and you figure it out. And it has been annoyingly frustrating how fun I am finding this game. And so Kingdom Two Crowns is probably my favorite game of 2021. And was that it? Did we?
I don't know. I think
I'm checking the list. I'm like, I think we've covered everything, but I'm wondering if, do you want to talk about next year at all? Do you want to save that for like a New Year's show? We didn't get this far in our conversation about the show beforehand.
Well, one thing I did want to mention, that I'm going to try my darndest to at least fire up my welder before the end of the year, just so I can say that I did.
So you can say you did. Yeah. Take it out of the box.
I'm going to blind myself as a New Year's resolution. What's the resolution at the end? New Year's resolution as in the end of. It's the resolution of that arc, that story arc for the year. Of Wes had eyesight at the beginning, and now he doesn't.
Also like the arc of the welder.
Yes, that was intentional.
Yeah.
So, okay, a good note that we can end on this. Now, looking back on 2021, was there anything that like you were looking forward to or hoped to, or like anything like that didn't turn out the way you thought it did, or didn't turn out at all, or anything like that? Since this is some sort of a bit of a retrospective, like, how do you feel like it went?
I think for the most part, it went pretty well, given how the year started. We were still kind of in quarantine and lockdown at the beginning of the year. I think that going into summer and being able to put that stuff behind, and then going out to Wes's house in July was like a huge turning point, where it felt like, okay, I'm around people again. They're out and about, and it kind of felt like progress from there. I would have liked to have put more content out last year, but when I think about what I did instead, I don't feel like I was sitting around wasting time. I did a lot more things with the family this year. My kids are getting older, and strangely enough, need just as much attention at this age right now. Especially with my son being in junior high and different conversations that we have to have now that fathers of teenagers will be familiar with. I think that making more time for them and making sure that I'm still present for them is a good trade-off for not having more content at the moment. So no regrets, but I still would have liked to put out a couple more videos.
That's a good sentiment. Yeah, I can see that.
My goal, I can say that I achieved my goal of going full-time as a maker. It did not happen the way that I thought it would happen, and it has not been going the way that I had hoped it would go. But that being said, being able to say that, this was not my end point. It's not an end point. It's just, this was my next step. I've reached that next step, and now it's just figuring out what the next step is after that. But being able to see that, there's progress in that direction has been really cool. Shaky, rocky, terrifying as all heck, but otherwise still progress. So that's been a good thing to look back on for 2021.
Yes. Yeah, I'm glad that we got to get together. Definitely needs to happen more often. That's one thing I've need to, once it's more, like, I feel like it's less appealing at some points like than others as far as getting together with people. That constantly changes every month. It seems like this, state of the pandemic is shifting so dramatically in every possible way. But one thing that I wanted to take away and try to do more of is like spend time with my friends, and actually, whether it means flying out somewhere or having them fly here or whatever, like taken for granted, like the time that we have available to actually do things with each other. Because I mean, it's like leading up to the pandemic, like it's like it felt like you could always do it if you wanted to. You just, I'll do it soon, but I can do it at any time. What's the rush? And then when that opportunity is all taken away from you, even for family members and stuff, like, well, like some people didn't get that opportunity anymore. Like that's kind of eye opening, So it makes me want to lean into that harder and sort of. I want to get to the point where I'm like, man, I spent way too much time with my friends, so we need to cut back. Like, I want to be able to say that sentence, right? Is that a great sentence to like strive to say?
Actually, I think it is.
And also, like, we did some. A dad and his kids just dropped in the channel. You reminded me. He said that he's trying to get an RV trip going. Yes, he and I have been trying to get a RV trip. He lives in Virginia, I believe, and I'm only one state away, and there's no reason we can't meet up somewhere in the middle and do something with our families together and like go camping or whatever. Like there's so many opportunities. I just need to be cognizant of them and try to take advantage of them as often as possible. Yeah. Talk about taking advantage of people. Let's thank our patrons over at patreon.com/makinggeeks for helping us keep the show on the air every time we release an episode, including our top patrons. You guys remember who they are? Yeah.
Square Splinter.
Square Splinter, yeah.
Prop Shop.
That's right. That is right.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for your support. Happy New Year.
Yeah, and all of us are heavily involved on social media with everything that we're doing, our frustrations, our successes, and everything in between. So if you want to follow Sean, you can follow him at Geek Builders. If you want to follow Wes, you can follow him at Geek Smithing. And if you want to follow myself, Donovan, you can find me at Once Upon a Workbench.
Do we want to mention what we're geeking out about? Do we want to slip a couple of those in real quick before the end of the year? Is there anything that you've been geeking out about they haven't mentioned? I had one that I wanted to throw out there because apparently everyone's heard of this but me. And I thought you guys might enjoy it, being like cinemaphiles or whatnot. So there's a video that I watched where they're saying how like basically John Williams, quote unquote, like ripped off a lot of different, or this one composer for like laying the groundwork for like all of his thematic stuff, especially for Star Wars and even like some Harry Potter stuff. And apparently there's a album called The Planets. Have you guys heard of this?
No.
There's an album called The Planets. It was released in the early 20th century, like the 20s or 30s, ridiculously, like 100 years ago. And it's by a composer, Gustav Holst, and it's called The Planets. There's a YouTube video. It's got about 8 million views of the entire suite. Basically, he did, how many tracks is it?
It's super long, too.
It's like 15 minutes long. It's a normal album. I mean, it's not that bad. But he has them broken up into Mars, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And you need to listen to that, and it'll blow your mind. Because you think of all this thematic, like ground swelling, bombastic stuff, like as being modern music and like John Williams type stuff. I'm like, this is like 100 years ago. This is crazy. And apparently they used a lot of these tracks for stand-in stuff before John Williams ever composed something for Star Wars. And then Lucas is like, apparently, I did research a little bit into this afterwards. They're like, oh yeah, I want something similar to this, and John Williams is like, okay, and like just listen to Mars and Jupiter sounds like the most heroic like Superman stuff ever. And I even heard some Lord of the Rings like kind of chords in there too. It was pretty cool. I definitely recommend it. It's called The Planets. It's all instrumental orchestral music called The Planets. It's on YouTube from Gustav Holst. It's great background music while you're doing like sanding or like 3D modeling or animating. Check it out. It's going to blow your mind for sure.
So when my wife studied aeronautic engineering when she was in college because she wanted to go work for NASA. And so when we were first dating, I wanted to like share her interests and her passions for like for space and aviation, all that kind of stuff. And so we went to an observatory where they did the planets, but then they had like it was in the, what do they call them? The dome.
Yeah, planetarium.
The planetarium. Yeah, they did it in a planetarium where they played the planets and then had like a visual slideshow of all the planets. And so each one would come down as the song for it came down, and you would see like little bits of information that would come up, and
that's cool.
You know, it would wrap around the planet, all this kind of stuff. Super cool. It's a great listen. It is a fantastic listen if you can do it in a planetarium, but otherwise it's still a great listen.
You know what else is super cool? Our website. You go and check that out at makinggeeks.com, and we have a contact page where you could give a suggestion for the show. Any ideas we're open to. We're always looking forward to, or always looking at that type of info that comes into the website. And also, you can listen to all of our past episodes right there on the homepage of the site. And don't forget to check out the shop where we have some of our cool merchandise right there on makinggeeks.com.
I love our transitions.
Oh, yeah.
So seamless and pro.
And you can find new episodes of the website every Saturday morning on your favorite podcast player of choice. Okay, I wasn't sure if that was a response to what I was saying.
You said new episodes of the website.
Did I really?
I think so.
We were still picking up what you were putting
it's
down.
Fine.
It's all right. Yeah.
That's
it's
okay.
the end of the year. Let's go.
You can find new episodes of the podcast on our website, but also on your favorite podcast player of choice. We want to thank everybody hanging out in the live chat with us. It's always a lot of fun hearing and seeing the conversation happening in live in real time during the show. So from all of us to all of you, have a fantastic holiday, and we'll see you in the new year.
Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.